Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Awkward again, back with a new video. Today we're going to be talking about why Fairy Tail is a good anime and why you should not listen to everyone saying it's bad. And it's me, Yato, Fluffy Fluffscard on Instagram. We have Kenshin Skatana on Instagram and another guest today who used to help me out with my anime page, but will probably be starting his own soon. But he's also part of this channel. So Fairy Tail. I don't know if I could talk about everybody, but I know everyone here loves Fairy Tail. Fairy Tail is one of my favorite watches. Fun anime, and today we're just gonna be breaking down why we think it's a really good anime. I covered this on my anime page actually, and this was like the main topic I talked about of like hype factor of being one of the best aspects of Fairy Tail, and they do it better than most animes. I covered mostly Michigan as a character and why I think his hype factor was the best in the beginning of the show, and I'll go over it again. So, you're first introduced to three wizards in Fairy Tail that are S-Class untouchable, which is Urza, who is displayed as being like Natsu and Gray, who's really strong to be scared of, and like she disciplines them. Loxus, who's just murks everybody and is just destroys everyone in the clan, like everyone knows. And then this guy named Michigan, who is just mysterious. Like, even his name Michigan, you're like, oh, I wonder. The only scene that you see him in the beginning is he walks into the guild hall and puts everybody to sleep except the master, who's the only one that can stay up from his spell. And it just leaves you to like think like, wow, like what's with this guy? Like, what is he? So then you get into the Phantom Troop arc. Yeah, you get into the Phantom Troop arc, and they're in the one base just raiding them, and then he meets with the old lady healer. I don't remember her name. It's Grandina's. Palyuska. He meets with her, and she's like, "Shouldn't you be helping your friends or whatever?" He's like, "Can I have an apple?" And then the next scene, she's like, "Well, there's 50 Phantom Troop bases. Like, what are you guys gonna do? Like, this is just 1/50th of them." And then you see 49 flags fly. So that means Michigan literally soloed 49 Phantom Troop bases, which is just insane. Like, they were struggling just doing the main base, let alone another 49, and he literally sold them. And then you get to the Endless arc and see who he actually is and his powers, and it's just...
Actually, no one really talks about his third appearance when the Battle of Fairy Tail happened. We saw that he was an exact lookalike of Jalal before, you know, we even knew who he was. And then he disappeared right after that. That made him even more hyped. And then that tied in with the Endless arc.
Another good thing Fairy Tail does is it'll like tying hype factor. They don't really win a lot of their first initial battles. Like, they're really good at displaying their enemies' powers before the actual fight and then figuring out how to beat it. It's not really power of friendship when they lose the first fight and then 1v1 them and strategically find a way to do it. Yes, most of the time it's just Natsu eating something, but that's part of his power, and that's... Like, Natsu is a character, that's what he does. Like, you shouldn't go in expecting him to lose brutally, which, keep in mind, I have never watched a single battle shonen where the main character got beat, left, and came back and absolutely destroyed him. There's only a couple, like the Pain arc in Naruto, but even that was stupid. But he wouldn't have won if he didn't have those shadow... But, I don't know, it's not really a thing in battle shonen where people are like, oh, the power of friendship is just in Fairy Tail.
I mean, there's only one thing I can really say about the hype factor of Fairy Tail, dude. Like, no matter what you say about the show, like, I loved it. I thought it was amazing. Definitely one of the best I've ever seen. Like, even if you hate it, there's one thing that you gotta admit. Every single fight hypes you up. It is probably, like, every single fight, like, has you sitting on the edge of your seat because they're so It doesn't matter how much you like the show, like, whatever, I don't care about that. Just how hype every single fight is should make you like it more than you think.
Yeah, I
And,
totally.
Like, and then another thing, like a lot of people don't like watch it because they're like, oh, it's gay. Like I heard bad things about it. No, give it a try, dude. You won't know until you actually try it. Like there's so many animes. I was like, no shot. I'm giving this a try. And then I watched one episode and I was hooked.
and like another thing with like the fights, like the villains are well written, just like Acnologia. Like you meet him on Tenra Island arc, he blows an entire island up. No one had a shot of him, not even Gildarts, the strongest wizard. And then we're all the way in the future, and we're already hyped because Nasu trained for a whole entire year.
Yeah, dude,
Oh
that
my,
scene,
that was insane, dude.
when he got
showed up.
this, when Wendy enhanced the 7 Slayer, the Dragon Slayer powers into Natsu, I was so hyped. That was so sick. Just
Yeah,
like
I thought-
another thing is that I give the hype factor a big thing too is A1 Pictures and Cloverworks did an amazing job animating the fights. It merely made the manga come to life. It wasn't disappointing like Tokyo Ghoul or like Seven Deadly Sins new season. Like they pictured it exactly how I thought it was off the manga page. Like it was just perfectly executed. Like Kyle said, the fights were just insanely good. It's just a good show. I don't know, but
Oh,
Is it-
I can answer this one.
yeah,
easily.
go Kyle.
It's Natsu. Natsu's the MC. People who say
No.
Lucy is not the MC. Lucy,
No.
what
No.
Lucy is?
No.
Shut up.
You see?
What Lucy is?
Shut
a
up, no,
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 just
no.
let him talk.
She's
Let
the
him talk.
narrator. Lucy's the narrator of the show. The show's coming from her perspective. It's like essentially it's her story. Lucy writes a book, and you see that in the ending. Like they're at like something where she's like gets the best writer or whatever. I forget.
Yeah, no, their
Banquet.
award ceremony.
Their banquet. Yeah, essentially the whole fairy tale story is written in the perspective of Lucy as she's writing the book. But I would say the main character MC is Natsu, because that's everything's like based around them, Natsu, Happy, and Lucy traveling around, and then it also it's like all the fairy tale characters. Like everyone gets pretty equal screen time.
That is one way to look at the show, and I know most people look at it like that. But I would say the main character of Fairy Tail is clear. It's Fairy Tail, like the guild. Like it's a story of a guild coming together, going on jobs. Natsu is the main focus. I will say that. Like, but I think like you said, everyone gets fair enough screen time. I think it's the guild growing as each other, and when people say the power of friendship, that is the point of the show. It's them becoming friends, getting close. You see relationship happen, like Gray's, like Juvia being head over heel with Gray, and Gray just completely ignoring her, and in the end of the show actually falling for her. But it makes you to think. And then when Lucy's drunk and she's looking at everyone with young love, and then she ends up with Natsu, like going back to her house, like you could tell that she loves Natsu, but Natsu's just a blind eye. They all grew up together. They're just one big family. So I think the main character of Fairy Tail, as a whole, is the guild. Like everyone
Yeah.
in the guild. Makarov is the dad, and like he says, it's his children. Like you watch them grow up. You learn about Mavis and like what she wanted the guild to be, and like what it turned out to be. Like, yeah, I just think Fairy Tail is the main character of Fairy Tail.
That's why
Yeah,
Fairy Tail.
I can also agree with that point of view.
That's why Fairy Tail and Black Clover do so good. They make you feel like you're a part of a guild. You're following their adventure instead of like Naruto. Naruto's the distinct, like, or actually a better perspective would be One Piece. Luffy is the distinct main character of One Piece. He sets out to find a goal of One Piece. Instead of Fairy Tail, it's them trying to get jobs.
With of you actually feeling like you're in Magnolia. Like, it makes you feel like you're traveling with them. You're going on a journey that I think a lot of animes, like, don't do good. Like, My Hero, like, it loses a lot of its potential with just not good world building. They stay in the same place. There's no traveling. As an exploration shonen, like, yeah, like the One Piece main character thing that I believe should be fixed. I think Straw Hats, like, if they focused on everyone, I mean, they all have backstory arcs and everything, but I think, like, My Hero doesn't really explore, like, for a shonen, that's, like, one of the things, like, Naruto has great world building, Bleach has great world building, and Fairy Tail has some of the best world building ever. It's something that just, it makes you feel, like, more invested into the show. It's just something that they do really good. Like, they have the whole different towns, the exploration. They're actually having a game come out that will even make you explore even further into Magnolia and all the other bordering states in Fiore. Like just from the first episode when they open the book and they show you, like, the colorful world of Magnolia, it just makes you, like, really invested into the world. And it's just something that I don't think a lot of animes do well.
Also, another section in world building is that characters have effect on the world, which a lot of characters have effect on the world in Fairy Tail. Like Gildarts was very known wide across the world, or the Wizard Saints, or even Acnologia and Zeref, which are beautifully written villains. When Acnologia had an effect on the Fairy Tail Guild as a whole, and Zeref has an effect on becoming Emperor Spriggan and everyone.
Even Natsu is referred to as Salamander, like, across the world. Like, remember the first episode when they're like, "Oh, you're the guy." Right?
That's how they introduced him.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I'm saying. Like,
introduced him as the Salamander.
Yeah, like people they were known. Like he was known to destroy things. Like around the world, people didn't really fear him, but knew what he did. Like as a goofy fire wizard, just blowing up buildings and going out of proportion. But that's Natsu's character.
Yeah, that's just how they built him up, and I honestly I thought it was funny.
Yeah, that's another thing. Fairy Tail is one of the first animes that I watched where I could show a 5-year-old and they would like it. I have no idea. Besides, I mean, the boobs and stuff, but like that's whatever. That's in every anime, just not as much as Fairy Tail. But anyway,
Japan's just very horny.
Like a 5-year-old will enjoy the show, and someone like my age who's like a teenager will still like the show. Like the widespread of like audience that it could appeal to is just wide, and it just makes the show like good. Like it's just no other anime could do that. That's another thing I think Fairy Tail does amazing, including with the hype factor, is like their characters are just widespread, really good drawn, and their development throughout the story. Like if you just look at the 4 main character, like I said, Fairy Tail's the main character, but like they focused mainly on 4 people that I would say would be Natsu, Urza, Lucy, and Gray. Natsu being his dad disappeared for reasons I don't want to spoil, but his dad disappeared on a date with the rest of the dragons, and he wants to find him. Like that's how you're introduced to Natsu. He's looking for his dad. He's looking for information with Happy about him, and he's reminded about his dad every day because he is a dragon slayer. Like he taught him his magic every time he does his fire. That's who he's reminded of. And next we have Gray, who is kind of the same way. His master died because of him, and he drives to like improve himself and make her proud. And he is reminded of her with her ice, because that's what she did. She was known as the best ice wizard. She could have been one of the Wizard Saints, I remember them saying, but he refused. Urza, one of the saddest backstories. I mean, yeah, Guts got raped or whatever, but I mean, her mom like had her inside of her for like what, like 400 years. Fast forward in the future, then drops her off at a random place. Then she gets kidnapped, becomes a slave, and then her love of her life that she falls in love with, then gets mind controlled into believing in Zeref, and then just brings her almost to kill herself. And then Natsu has to save her, and she, like, nothing ever goes right with Urza. I would say the power of friendship mostly happens with Urza, but that's because she was beaten down and lonely so much that Fairy Tail was that void that helped her and was her family, like, from the beginning. Like, she didn't even care that her biological mom died because that wasn't her family. She didn't know her. She didn't have any connection to her. Her family was Fairy Tail, and that's what drives her to be better.
Erza states that Makarov is her only parent.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then lastly, we have Lucy, who lost her mom, who gave her keys and is an inspiration to her, and it just drives her to be like her mom. She writes letters to her mom that isn't even alive and keeps them in her drawer every day because she just misses her. And then her dad is just a rich, snotty person who didn't really pay attention to because he worked so hard. Another thing that I think Fairy Tail does is consistency of arcs, which like a show like Kyle's watching right now, like Bleach. I love Bleach. Bleach is one of my favorite animes. But the placing of arcs in that show is god awful, and if you don't skip, it is so painful. Like that Yukiora cliffhanger to then a 30-episode filler arc and then coming back, that's awful. Like, why would you do that to me? But anyway, let's get back to Fairy Tail. Their arcs are consistent. Even filler episodes in Fairy Tail didn't feel like filler episodes. Even arcs. Like, there was the Eclipse arc, and then the Aftermath, that's not manga canon, but it feels like canon. Like, they never made you feel like you were watching something completely different, like Bleach, or even Naruto does that a lot, too. Like, their arcs are consistent, there's always great fights, there's always good character development, and most of the time when you're watching a Fairy Tail arc, there's different challenges with different characters, but it's all confined in that arc. It's not like widespread of what they're trying to do. It's not like someone's trying to run off and do something else while they're there. Like, they're all there for the same reason, but also have different motives to complete the task, if that makes sense.
And also, a beautiful thing that Fairy Tail does very well is tying in arcs, like the Grand Magic Games arc tying into the Eclipse arc was beautifully well done when the person who won the
great
Grand Magic game turned into saving the future.
The only character that, like I said prior, is Urza. I will completely say that Urza's fights, there are power friendship in there, but like I said, it's because Mavis, one of the first magic users, and like tied in with the creator of magic, Xerath. But anyway, she explains that the more your emotions are, the more powerful the output of magic is. When they say that, you can't tell me that's power of friendship if that's how their magic works. That's like saying, oh, Harry Potter with a wand is dumb because that's how his magic comes out and is amplified by his wand. Like, no, like that's a part of their magic. That's how they do it. Like, I don't know. You guys talk first.
Honestly, like, how I viewed power of friendship is like, you can apply that like in real life kind of.
100%.
Because like, think about it. Like, let's say you're like on a sports team, right? Like, what gives you like you're down like 5-1? Like, what's as motivated as you are, dude? It's like you look around your locker room, you look at your teammates, like you've been with them for like a whole year, maybe. If you're in high school and you're playing football, you've been with them for almost some of them 4 years. It's your last chance to make the championship or something like that. Like, what are you gonna do? You're all friends there, so you dig in,
you fight for the person next to you.
Fight for the person next to you, exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what
it's a real thing. Even like in the army, like you have that you went through training camp with, like hell and back. Like you grinded to finally get enlisted into the army. You're not fighting for yourself. You're fighting for your country, you as a whole, like your unit. Like those are your brothers. Like they're a guild, like they're supposed to fight for each other, like, and if that's what gives them power, why is that such a bad message to the show? Like, I don't
I don't know if it was me, but I don't really see the power of friendship that often. I think power of friendship is used for a motive for them to fight, but there are reasons for power-ups, just like when Loxus gives Natsu lightning, he eats the lightning, he doesn't think of friends and then automatically gets the lightning. Just like revives, there aren't that much revives in the show, I would say. Makarov, people say that quote-unquote shouldn't come back, or Gajiel, but Makarov, they specifically did not say that Makarov would die using Fairy Law. They said it takes a massive amount of pull, so I don't know why people complain about that.
They just assumed he would die because of his age and stuff.
Gajiel, I don't know why people call this BS, because no, it was an enemy that saved Gajiel's life, not friends.
Not even intending to do it. It was just a coincidence. Like they
altered the world.
Same time.
So there's reasons for power-ups and revives.
And I say,
friends.
It wasn't just Gajiel. The enemy that killed Gajiel also came back too. Like it wasn't just Gajiel that came back. The enemy came back too. So it was kind of like
balance.
Yeah, it's not like just Gajiel came back and they left the dead person in the dirt. Like he came back. It's not like, oh yeah, Gajiel came back because he thought of his friends, and the enemy just had no one, so he stayed in the dirt. Like, it had nothing to do with anything.
I just view friendship as a motive, not as they're not used for power-ups.
Anyway, the only thing that I'll say, which was dumb, is Lizana coming back. I thought that was so stupid. I thought she should have stayed in Edalus or whatever, because that was such a motive for Mary Jane, and why I don't like that was such a motive. Like I love her as a character and everything, and like I just don't understand why she had to come. Like they shouldn't have sent her off and then just to bring her back. But that's the only one that I would think of that I thought was stupid. Even though I'm not complaining because I like Lizana, but I just think it was not necessary for the series. But like, there's even other deaths that like drive characters, like Simon. Yeah, that simp, the simp, like that. Like he didn't come back. That drove Urza. That later on in the show, that was an important part of the show in the early and in the end game. for Kagura and Urza. Like, and
Everyone has a death that affects them, just like Gray with his dad and Igneo with Natsu.
yo, that Igneo scene hits hard, bro. Put that on the screen now. Tell me you're not watching this, rethinking this, about to cry. If you watch the show, just cry. Think like I did not go into Fairy Tail expecting to cry as much as I did. I literally say it right now. I'm a crybaby, but this show is emotional as fudge,
Tale.
bro. This is an emotional ass show. This hits hard. They have some really good sad moments, bro.
This is probably the most time I cried in an anime is Fairy Tail because how much I get attached to characters.
Yeah, dude. Like, oh, I cried so much. Even like things that weren't even sad. That I just was like,
Dialogue, just
like that. The end of Fairy Tail Zero, like the Mavis thing with Zura. Oh my God, that hits so. I was not expecting that at all. That hits so hard, so hard.
the water bearer with Lucy.
Oh, Aquarius. That was so sad. That was so sad.
Don't remind me about that.
Gray and his dad.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Gray's that silver that hit hard.
Tier.
Old tier in the beginning that hit hard. I'm drawing a blank. Oh, you know what was low key really sad? That I don't know why I thought it was so sad. I didn't cry or anything, but it was sad. Minerva's backstory, like when you learn that, I was kind of sad right there. Not gonna cap, like how she was treated and her dad was such a bitch.
Yeah.
Bro, rest in peace, Lecter. Just like fuck that name.
Happy and Natsu just have the best relationship in all of anime.
Loxus, when he got kicked out, when Makarov put the Fairy Tail sign up, that was so sad at the parade.
Oh, Zeref's death. Like when a villain makes you cry, that's like something that
See,
like
that's another thing that Fairy Tail did good of why he got so attached to Zeref is the way he's written, because you don't know, like, he doesn't want to be the bad guy. He doesn't want to be bad. He has to, like, there's no other choice. Thank you for tuning in again. This has been Yato's Fluffy Fluff Scarf, Kenjin's Katana, and our special guest Kyle. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, follow us. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
答えて誰かいませんかずっと探して